Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, with the eerie but unmistakable feeling that something massive is changing inside you? Like the universe has placed a quiet hand on your shoulder and whispered, "It's time." That's not just a dream, and it's definitely not a coincidence. What if I told you that what you're experiencing could be one of the rarest, most powerful transformations known to the human soul? A quantum spiritual shift. This isn't just spiritual growth, it's an entire rewiring of your consciousness. A deep inner evolution that doesn't just change how you think, it changes what you are. And in this video, we're going to explore the 7 signs that this shift is happening to you right now. Let me take you back to a moment in my own life. I was walking alone, deep in the woods. No phone, no sound, just the hum of the universe surrounding me. And out of nowhere, it hit me. I wasn't just a person walking through nature. I was the forest. I was the silence. I was everything and nothing at once. That realization didn't come gently. It cracked my old identity like a thunderbolt. In that moment, I knew something quantum was unfolding. And if you've ever had a moment like that, where time bends, where you feel like you're remembering something ancient and cosmic, you're not crazy. You're waking up. The first sign you're going through a quantum spiritual shift is that your reality no longer feels solid. You begin to notice moments where time glitches. Déjà vu becomes more frequent. Synchronicities pile up like breadcrumbs from the universe. You think of someone and they text you. You dream of a place and end up there days later. What's happening is that your consciousness is starting to move beyond linear time. You're slipping into your multidimensional nature. The boundaries between the past, present, and future blur, and the question is, are you brave enough to follow the clues?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
You may also feel like your emotions are no longer yours. They rise like waves from nowhere. Grief, bliss, rage, compassion, all cycling through you in rapid succession. This isn't emotional instability. This is energetic transmutation. Your body, mind, and spirit are purging lifetimes, yes, lifetimes of suppressed energy. You're clearing karma, not just yours, but your lineages. And while it may feel overwhelming, consider this. What if every tear you shed, every tremble in your chest, is cleansing generations of pain? You are the alchemist now. Are you allowing the emotion to move through you freely? Or are you resisting the very medicine your soul is asking for? The second sign is that you begin to crave solitude. Not as an escape, but as a return. You find yourself turning off the noise, social media, gossip, surface-level conversations. You begin to feel like a stranger in your old life. Friends may drift away. You may even feel isolated. But this is not punishment. This is sacred. The cocoon must be sealed before the butterfly emerges. Your soul knows you need space to download new frequencies, to integrate the codes of truth that are now pouring into your system. Silence becomes your teacher. The question is, are you honoring the sacred space, or are you still afraid to be alone with your own infinite self? And then there's the third sign. Your body begins to change, and not always in comfortable ways. You may feel mysterious aches, sudden fatigue, bursts of energy, buzzing in your hands or spine. Your sleep becomes strange. Vivid dreams, waking at exactly 3:33 or 4:44 a.m. You may feel like your body is vibrating. That's because it is. Your DNA is recalibrating. You are literally becoming a new species of human, a being who can hold more light, more truth, more love. But it's intense, so take care of your vessel. Hydrate, rest, eat clean. Your body is the sacred temple where the shift is happening. Are you treating it as such? Now, listen carefully, because this next part is crucial. You begin to question everything, not just your job, your relationships, or your beliefs, but existence itself. You look at the world and feel like it's a stage. The roles, the routines, the rat race, it all seems absurd. You begin to ask, who am I really? Why am I here? What is this life for? This existential unraveling is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. The old matrix is crumbling. The illusion is being stripped away. And you are remembering that you are not a character in the story. You are the author. The deeper question is, now that you know the script is yours to write, what story will you tell? And let me ask you something few dare to ask themselves. If everything you ever believed turned out to be a lie, would you have the courage to start over? Another unmistakable sign is that your intuition becomes razor sharp. You just know things. You walk into a room and feel the energy instantly. You sense people's intentions before they speak. You begin to trust your gut more than logic, because logic is linear and your soul speaks in spirals. You are tuning into the quantum field, where all information exists simultaneously. You are learning the language of energy, and the more you trust it, the more it guides you not just to safety, but to purpose, to power, to peace. Have you noticed how your inner voice is no longer a whisper, but a roar? And then comes the most terrifying and liberating sign of all. You begin to detach from your identity. You no longer feel the need to define yourself by your job, your status, or your name. You begin to feel infinite. You realize you are not your thoughts, not your memories, not even your emotions. You are the awareness behind them all. This ego death can be brutal. It can feel like you're dying. But what's dying is not you. It's who you thought you were. And in its place, something miraculous is being born. The real you. The eternal you. The you that was never born and can never die. You see, a quantum spiritual shift is not something that happens overnight. It's not a trend or a hashtag. It's a sacred initiation. It's the call of your soul to step into your highest timeline, and it will test you. It will shake everything you thought was stable. It will strip you bare. But in that nakedness, you will find truth. And in that truth, you will remember what you came here to do. So, ask yourself, what if every breakdown in your life was actually a breakthrough in disguise? What if your pain was the portal? What if the chaos you've been running from is actually the compass pointing you home? The signs are not always loud. Sometimes they whisper. A feather on the ground, a number on a clock, a lyric you hear 3 times in one day, but they're there. The question is, are you paying attention? Because the universe is always speaking. And when the shift begins, it speaks louder. Through your dreams, through your body, through your relationships, through your very breath. You may feel like you're losing your mind, but what you're actually losing is the illusion. You're not going crazy, you're waking up. And in this awakening, you are not alone. Millions of souls around the planet are feeling the same pull, the same dissonance, the same strange beauty. We are the wave of the new earth. We are the bridge between dimensions. and we are rising. If you've made it this far, that means something within you is resonating. A deep, ancient knowing is stirring. That's not coincidence, that's remembrance. You've answered a call that very few hear, and even fewer follow. And now, the journey you're on is no longer just personal, it's cosmic. Every thought you transmute, every fear you face, every truth you embody ripples far beyond your own life. You are part of a collective awakening, a quantum shift in human consciousness. But as with any great transformation, the path is not linear. It will test you, it will ask for everything, and it will give you something greater in return, your true self. One of the most profound signs you're deep in this shift is that your perception of reality begins to dissolve. You start to notice that what you once accepted as normal now feels artificial. You look at people caught in the same cycles, working jobs they hate, chasing approval, numbing themselves with distractions, and something inside you rebels. You feel like you're standing on the edge of a hologram, watching it flicker and glitch. And the deeper you go into this awareness, the more you realize reality is not fixed, it's flexible, it responds to your vibration. Your thoughts are not just private, they're creative forces. They shape timelines, and this changes everything. So here's the question. If your perception creates your reality, then what have you been unconsciously creating? This realization can be both freeing and terrifying, because once you know that your mind is the projector, you can no longer blame the screen. You begin to take radical responsibility for your vibration. Your thoughts, your emotions, your choices, they all become sacred acts of creation. You no longer tolerate negativity, gossip, or fear-based thinking, not because you understand the cost. You become a guardian of your frequency. And that responsibility is not always easy, but it is the path of mastery. Are you willing to become the conscious creator of your reality, even when it means dismantling everything familiar? Another sign of this quantum shift is that your relationship with time begins to morph. You may feel like hours pass in minutes, or that a single moment stretches into eternity. You stop obsessing over the future or clinging to the past, because you start to sense the infinite now. You realize that time as we know it is a construct, a useful illusion, but not the ultimate truth. And in that realization, something beautiful happens. You slow down. You become present. You begin to notice the way sunlight filters through the trees, or how your breath feels entering your lungs. You stop chasing life and start experiencing it. How much of your life have you missed because you were somewhere else in your mind? And then, perhaps one of the most difficult signs, you start shedding everything that no longer aligns. Jobs, relationships, habits, even identities. People may leave your life. Opportunities may fall through. You may feel like you're losing everything, but what you're really doing is making room. The universe cannot fill your hands with truth if they are still clinging to illusion. This shedding process can feel brutal. You may grieve things you once thought you couldn't live without, but in time, you will see that what falls away was never truly yours. It was just a chapter, and you are the whole book. Can you trust the letting go even when you don't yet see what's coming to take its place? This is where faith becomes not a concept, but a lifeline. Not blind faith, but embodied trust. Trust in the process. Trust in your soul. Trust in the intelligence of the universe that is orchestrating your evolution with more wisdom than your mind can comprehend. You begin to realize that even your pain had a purpose, even your darkest nights were sacred, because they cracked you open, they brought you here, they initiated you into a higher truth. Ask yourself, what if nothing in your life was ever a mistake? Another powerful sign is that you start to experience moments of pure, unfiltered awareness. Not just spiritual highs or fleeting insights, but actual glimpses into the fabric of existence. You may feel yourself dissolve into the present moment until there is no you left, only consciousness, only now. These moments may be brief, but they are undeniable. They leave an imprint. They remind you that beneath the noise of the mind, beneath the roles and stories, there is something vast, silent, and eternal. That something is you. And once you've touched that space, you can never fully go back to who you were. Have you ever had a moment where the world stopped and you remembered who you really are? And that question, who are you really, becomes the most important quest of all. You start to strip away everything that is not you, every mask, every false belief, every inherited pattern. You go deep, not just into your childhood, but into your soul contracts, into your ancestral wounds, into your past lives. You start to decode the blueprint of your being. You begin to see how your greatest pain has always pointed to your greatest purpose, and in that realization, you stop running. You face it, you heal it, and in doing so, you liberate not just yourself, but everyone connected to you. What if your healing is the key that unlocks someone else's prison? There's a moment in this journey where you hit what feels like a void. Nothing makes sense. Nothing feels certain. You may feel numb, directionless, even hopeless. This is the sacred pause, the dark womb, the quantum reset. It's where the old version of you dissolves and the new one hasn't yet formed. Most people fear this space. They try to escape it. But if you can sit in the void, if you can surrender to the nothingness, you will discover the field of infinite possibility. You will learn to create from the formless. And that is the essence of quantum transformation. Can you be still enough to let the new version of you emerge without forcing its shape? And here's something you need to hear. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are unfolding in divine timing. Your path is unique. Your awakening will not look like anyone else's. Some people awaken through bliss, others through heartbreak, some through silence, others through chaos. But all paths lead home. And the more you honor your own path, the more grace will flow into your life. Are you ready to stop comparing your journey and start embracing it fully? As this shift deepens, your desires begin to change. You no longer seek validation, you seek alignment. You no longer chase success, you seek service. You no longer crave attention, you crave authenticity. This is not about becoming someone new. This is about becoming who you were before the world told you who to be. And that is the most radical act in a world built on illusion. What truths are you ready to reclaim? And now, let us go even deeper. What if the quantum shift isn't happening to you, but through you, for the planet, for the collective, for the evolution of humanity itself? What if every moment you choose love over fear, presence over distraction, truth over comfort, you are anchoring a new reality into the grid of human consciousness? What if your awakening is not just personal, but planetary? This is not fantasy, this is physics. Quantum science tells us that everything is connected. that observation changes outcome, that energy responds to intention. So what happens when millions of souls begin to raise their frequency, to live from the heart, to speak with integrity, to embody their soul's light? The world changes, reality upgrades, the veil thins, and a new earth emerges, not from governments or systems, but from us, from you. So I ask you now, with all the weight and wonder this question carries, if you were the one soul chosen to shift the entire timeline of the planet, how would you live? You are already in the shift. It's not coming, it's here. Every choice matters. Every breath is sacred. Every thought is a seed. This is not a drill. This is your initiation, and you are ready. If you're still here, it's because your soul already knows. It recognizes the truth in these words, even if your mind is still catching up. What you're experiencing is not a breakdown, a coincidence, or a phase. It's a quantum spiritual shift. Something ancient is waking up inside you. And in this final stretch of the journey, we're going even deeper, because now it's not just about signs, it's about embodiment. It's about who you become when the shift is no longer a mystery, but a lived truth in your everyday life. One of the most powerful transformations that occurs during this shift is the collapse of duality. You no longer see the world in black and white, good or bad, success or failure. You begin to embrace paradox. You understand that light and dark exist not as opposites, but as partners. You start to see how your wounds are the birthplace of your wisdom, how your greatest fears hold the keys to your liberation. You no longer resist discomfort, you welcome it as a catalyst. This is the dance of the awakened soul. You stop choosing sides and start seeing the deeper unity beneath all things. Are you willing to hold both joy and pain in the same breath without needing to fix either? Exercising, this is the moment your heart becomes your compass. You stop analyzing everything with your mind and start feeling everything with your soul. You pause before reacting. You listen before speaking. You sense the energy before making decisions. You begin to feel your way through life, not with logic, but with resonance. And this isn't weakness. This is power. This is the return of divine intelligence, the reactivation of the intuitive heart. You begin to trust what doesn't make sense. You follow the invisible thread, and somehow, even when the path is uncertain, everything aligns. When was the last time you trusted your heart more than your head? As this shift deepens, you realize that the spiritual path is not about escaping the world, it's about transforming it. You stop trying to ascend out of your body, out of your responsibilities, out of your humanity. Instead, you descend into presence, into embodiment. You bring your light down into the shadows. You bring your soul into your relationships, your work, your everyday choices. You realize that enlightenment is not a destination, it's a way of being, moment to moment, breath by breath. What if every interaction you have is a chance to embody the divine? And then something miraculous begins to happen. Your outer world starts to reflect your inner transformation. The more aligned you become, the more synchronicities increase. The right people appear, the right opportunities flow. You stop chasing and start attracting. You're no longer trying to force life to happen. You're allowing it to unfold. And in that space of surrender, magic becomes your new normal. But here's the paradox. The less you need, the more you receive. because the universe responds not to desire, but to alignment. Are you aligned with the version of reality you're asking for? And this leads to one of the most sacred signs of this shift: service. Not service from obligation or guilt, but from overflow. You start to feel a deep, unshakable desire to help others awaken. You realize that your healing is not just for you, it's for your family, your community, the unborn generations. You begin to speak your truth, not to convince anyone, but to radiate a frequency that activates others. You live your purpose not because it's easy, but because you must. Because your soul won't let you do otherwise. And in doing so, you become a lighthouse, a living transmission of what's possible. If the world depended on your light, would you let it shine? But don't be fooled, this path is not glamorous. It's not always peaceful. Sometimes awakening feels like dying, because in a way it is. The death of ego, the death of illusions, the death of who you thought you were. You will be asked to walk through fire, to face the parts of yourself you buried, to forgive the unforgivable, to surrender what you love most, and yet, on the other side of that surrender, there is peace, there is clarity, there is a love that is not conditional, not circumstantial, but eternal. What if everything you're afraid to lose is exactly what's keeping you small? You'll know you're in the quantum shift when you start seeing the world not as something outside you, but something within you. You'll realize the universe is not happening to you, it's happening through you. Every encounter, every challenge, every joy is a mirror of your internal state. You begin to take full sovereignty over your vibration. You stop blaming, you stop waiting, you stop outsourcing your power. You become the source. And from that place, you no longer try to control the world, you simply align with the frequency of the reality you wish to live. What would it look like to take full responsibility for your energy? And this is where the shift becomes irreversible. You stop seeking, you start embodying, you stop consuming spiritual content and start living it. You stop asking for signs and start becoming the sign. The journey is no longer about becoming something new, it's about remembering who you've always been. You realize that the divine you were searching for was never in a temple, a book, or a guru. It was always within you, waiting, watching, whispering. Are you ready to meet the version of you that has always known the way? And then, one day, without fanfare or fireworks, you wake up and everything is different. The world hasn't changed, but you have. You move through life with grace. You speak with clarity. You love without attachment. You create without fear. You listen more. You need less. You laugh easier. You cry deeper. You rest in the unknown. And in that stillness you realize the shift has happened. Not all at once, not with lightning, but with presence, with courage, with surrender. Are you noticing who you're becoming? This is the quantum spiritual shift. It's not a trend, it's not a weekend workshop, it's a sacred, lifelong initiation. And it's happening now in real time across the planet. Millions of souls are awakening. The old systems are crumbling, the old paradigms are dissolving, and in their place something new is rising, not from above, but from within, from the hearts and souls of ordinary people who dared to remember they are extraordinary. You are one of them. So here's the final question. If you knew for certain that you came here to help birth a new world, how would you live differently starting today? This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now. The quantum shift doesn't wait. It responds to your choice. And you've already chosen, haven't you? That's why your heart is beating faster. That's why your heart is beating faster. That's why your soul is whispering yes. Yes to truth. Yes to healing. Yes to love. Yes to awakening. Yes to purpose. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the shift. And maybe, just maybe, the real reason you found this video wasn't to learn something new, but to remember what your soul never forgot. Now go, live it, be it, radiate it, and watch the world transform around you.